Hello YouTube, this is Charlie426, and today we have a review of an SHF figure, the SHF Kamen Rider Birth. Now this is a retail figure, so it's a normal release, and I have seen other reviews regarding how some say it's kind of disappointing, and I can see why. But for me, I got mine at a second-hand shop, so I got mine for about $25-ish. So I got mine for pretty cheap. Because even though, despite all the stuff you get, this thing is now like up to like $50 or even $60 these days. I mean, the brand new one I could find at best price was like $45, $48, but you have to also pay the shipping fee. So yeah, either way, I got mine for 25 at this other shop, so win-win. Now, I would say the condition would be at maximum A minus or maybe B or B plus at minimum. So it's not perfect, but it's good enough. Alright, so let's get on to the review. Now, first of all, I would like to mention Kamen Rider Birth was definitely my favorite, is one of my personal favorite riders in the Rider series. Even in Kamen Rider OOOs, I did prefer him over Kamen Rider OOOs. Of course, I prefer the Date Akira version, so you can see, I think a lot of people do. Of course, if there's one form from OOOs that I would love to get, it would be the Tajador form. Okay, so as usual, we're going to go with components and then articulation or anything special to mention. So what you get, of course, is the rider himself, Kamen Rider Birth, and then you get two fist hands, left and right, and this is all you get. So you get two open hands, nothing too special with that. And then we get two trigger finger hands. So you get one for left and right, but I'm mostly going to use right only, so yeah. And I already put the hand in just to save time. Not that it wasn't really hard to put in, but yeah, but still. And then we get another separate head. Now this is the glowing of visor form, because when Kamen Rider Birth actually transforms, like for a few brief seconds, the eyes light up, and when he's also using certain moves like the Burst Buster, its final attack. Or sometimes when it's using breast cannon, the eyes lights up. So I'm not really sure like what triggers this, but still sometimes it lights up, sometimes it doesn't, even in the show. But yeah. Alright, so now let's get on to the review. Now I would like to mention this one's also kind of one of those old SHF figures, so meaning that it's the 1.0 base. So I believe one of the main issues of the 1.0 base is that I think this is my first time actually reviewing it. What I've heard is that the proportions are awkward sometimes, or it doesn't really look right, because like the arms and legs, the 1.0 frames, they use the exact same frame, so the arms and legs could be a little bit long for the rider, depending on the rider, or they could be too thin, so some people call it anorexic, but for Kamen Rider Birth, I think it's okay. I think they pulled it out pretty well. Of course, I think the legs, not the legs, the arms might be a little bit too long, or the shoulders are just not in the right position sometimes. So maybe it could be that case because of the arm, the way how the arm is. The shoulders sometimes look a little bit unnatural for me, personally. But anyway, let's get on to the review. So we have, so not the belt first, of course. We're going to go with the head. So the head-wise, the articulation is okay, but I'm not sure what's the neck joint, because the neck joint, as you can see right over here, seems a little bit too long. But either way, it can go down that much. Up that much, that's a good amount, and then a 360 twist is also possible. Now, back of the box, you don't really see the neck this much, but what they do is they kind of play around with the perspective and make it look like this. So, well, if you tilt the head a little bit down, now you can see it looks more natural. Of course, the tricky part is that a lot of people are still confused, like which part is like the eyes. Where does Kamen Rider Birth see from? Because keep in mind, at first I was this, but when you think about the position, it doesn't really make sense. And on the forehead, we have this part that looks like a gashapon, so also doesn't really make sense. So it's really questionable how does he see through that helmet. But anyway, I'm not gonna question such things. Let's get the body now. The overall, I really love the color of this. Now there's like two metallic colors going on. The one on the body is more of a lighter silver, while the ones on the shoulder or other body parts are more of a dark silver. And according to Joby's Cold Touch technique, these are not die-cast metal. These are just well-colored plastic. But I do like the ones that are on these armors, these clear gashapon, symbols or clear plastic. I really love these aspects. Now, for those who don't know, Kamen Rider Burst, the way how he fights is that there's these coins called cell medals in the series. He puts these cell medals in his belt. He twists the knobs, and then it activates his weapon. So from there, he can summon out on his right arm. He can summon out a crane arm or a drill arm, or sometimes he can combine the two. Or on the left arm, he can summon a shovel arm. From the legs, he can summon caterpillar legs, which is basically like tank wheels. Shovel arm is obviously for smacking people, and then from the back here, he can summon cutter wings for flight, or also as a weapon. And then from the front, he can summon something called the breast cannon, which is basically a laser cannon. So yeah, so each of these things actually contain like a weapon sort of things. Of course, minus the heads, that's something else. So that's one cool aspect. Sadly, that this figure does not really provide that you have to purchase a separate Premium Bandai claw set. Yeah, the weapons are called the claw set. So which was kind of a downside. But yeah, other than that, so look, the body itself has a nice ab crunch going on, and then not a 360 twist entirely, so you don't really get too much movement. But then again, this guy is a human, so yeah. Now for the shoulder articulation, it's pretty standard. It can go forward and backward, and you have also like a 360 rotation going on, and you can flip up the shoulder. And as you can see, that is clear plastic because you can see through that. That's pretty cool if you ask me. And then because of the thanks for that, well, you can put the arm a little bit 90 degrees or a little bit more to the side. This joint is very stiff for some reason, but I'm gonna go. I do always say it's stiff is always better than loose. And your hands are your typical ball jointed hands, where the connection. Well, sorry about that. The ball joint connection is on the arm rather than the hand. Okay, now let's get the belt. Now the belt is actually one of the main gimmicks. So it's kind of open, but you cannot close up the capsule. If you have the DX toy, you can actually close up the capsule and then turn the knob, but the knob does not turn as well. And I think there is a cell medal right over there engraved, so it's really hard to tell, but there is one over there. So if he wants to get off the suit, or cancel his transformation, all he needs to do is pull out that coin. Also, this one's not really mentioned in the manual, but you can take this part off for some reason, and it reveals the inside. I kind of felt like that was a neat gimmick. Okay, now let's get the legs. Now, as I mentioned, sorry about that, I bought a secondhand product, so obviously there's going to be at least some sort of minor issue. Mine was this side of the leg. I think it was this side, but because this side of the leg is kind of loose, you can see it's wobbly. So that was the only issue I'm having. This side of the leg, it's pretty okay. And also, the reason why the legs may be a little bit wobbly is that the rubber on the legs, they feel very different from any other like SHF I've reviewed. Now, I forgot to mention about the rubber aspect from my Super Dead Heat Drive, because also the rubber definitely had a different feeling. It had like this really heavy industrial rubber feeling to it, and this is no exception. So I think this is why that makes the legs very heavy. And being the 1.0 frame of the SHF figures, you have this thing going on. Yeah, you can pull down the leg for that reason, and also there's a separate side swivel going on. So yeah, that's pretty good. Although this may kind of affect the looks of the figure, making it look a little bit unnatural, but that would depend on the person, I guess. So you can put the leg, 90 degrees up front, and then you have a nice double jointed bend, and then you can move the leg 90 degrees to the side, and you have a nice side swivel, as I mentioned. The ankles the feet does not rotate around, but you have a nice pivot, or kind of a very stiff pivot going on here. Yeah, and I think the feet might be die cast metal according to Jobby's cool touch technique, and you have a nice toe bend. Also for the arm itself, you do have also a nice double jointed bend, kind of, because due to all the stuff going on that's on the arm. Okay, now we've seen the basic articulation. Now let's get the accessory. So, first of all, I'm gonna change off the head, but I would like to warn you regarding the head. So, pulling out the head is no big deal. Of course, if you're not careful, this happens. The neck joint also pops out, and also when you're taking out the neck joint, what I had in my case was that this joint actually popped out as well and was stuck in the head, and taking that out of the head was very, very tricky for me. So yeah, once again, I still think the neck joint is a little bit too long. So I don't know, maybe if I could grind it up a little bit, although there might be a risk. And also, once you're pushing in the head, I would really suggest that you push down this clear part, not these horns, because I'm pretty sure you can break those horns off if you're not careful. So yeah, and putting these joints are not easy because once again, it also moves around, so very tricky to get them in. So yeah, you can see I'm kind of struggling at the moment, but usually this happens in front of a camera. Usually if I'm doing this off camera, this would have been way more easier than you think. So you know what, I'll be right back with the head on. Okay, I'm back with the head on. The moment I turned off the recording and then tried it, and it went in right away, so I guess it's really annoying. By the way, we have the head on, and it definitely looks way better than having a bland black look on it. So here's the other head, so you can see it's nice to have a little bit more color to it, so I guess that's one thing. If you buy the prototype burst, this one actually turns into green, so yeah. Also, now we're going to take off this hand, which is, there we go. And I think that these are more of the old type ball joints because they're way bigger than the ones we usually see. Okay, so here we have the burst buster. It doesn't really have any holding issues, so once you have it on the hand, you won't have any issues. Now, those who've seen the series, the burst buster also has, like, some gimmicks. So number one, you can pull this part off, and there's this small part with the peg here, so you need to take this part out as well, which sometimes it's not as easy. There we go. So we have this small piece which you can attach to this part which reveals a peg over here. So the way how this works is that you just plug them in the front, up, and down. So in the show, this peg wouldn't exist. Where the way how this works is that they would slide in front, slide in back, slide in down. So for those who don't know, the way how this works is that they put the cell mills inside this thing from the top, and then the way how they reload it is just they slide it in and put it up here, which, okay, wait, like this. And then what would happen is that the coins would fall down here, and then what you do after that is you put it on the back, on the bottom where you just saw it, and then they would fire these energy shots from the cell metals, and then they don't actually fire the cell metals, it's just they fire the energy from the cell metals, so the metals become useless, and the ones that are used are dropped inside this part once more, and then you get rid of it. But also you have another gimmick where if you put this part on the front, it activates its final attack, the cell burst, which is basically it charges up a really large energy shot and fires. So yeah, I really like this weapon. It even has the gashapon capsule on it. So yeah, once you have it on the hand, you really don't have any issues holding the guns or the burst buster. So once you have it in hand, it only depends on which pose you want to do so. So it's really up to you. And that's pretty much it for the review. Now, as I mentioned, this could be a little bit disappointing compared to the price because you don't get any more weapons. But in the series, because this rider actually used a lot of weapons from its main body, but you have to buy that separately. So yeah, buying an entirely new one for like $40 to $50 might be a down thing. So I would suggest you go with the prototype burst or find people selling them as a set, because some people do sell the claw set very cheaply. So yeah. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the reviews. Thank you for watching the review. This was the review of the SHF Kamen Rider Birth. If you guys got any questions or requests, leave a comment below. I still have more stuff to buy and build and make reviews out, so please stay tuned. Until then, see you guys next time!